In the early 19th century, the American frontier was a place of tension and turmoil. Indigenous nations, led by visionary leaders, stood against the relentless expansion of the United States. At the heart of this struggle was the Battle of Tippecanoe, a clash that would shape the future of a continent. But this was no ordinary battle. It was a fight for survival, identity, and the very soul of a people. As the drums of war beat louder, one question loomed large. Who would emerge victorious, and at what cost? Stay tuned as we delve into the gripping tale of the Battle of Tippecanoe, where destiny was decided by the clash of cultures. As the 1800s dawned, the United States was rapidly expanding westward, driven by the promise of new lands and opportunity. But this expansion came at a steep price for the indigenous nations who had lived on these lands for centuries. Among them was the Shawnee, led by the charismatic and determined Tecumseh. Tecumseh envisioned a confederation of tribes united against the encroaching settlers. With his brother Tenskwatawa, known as the Prophet, they sought to forge a new path for their people, one that resisted the advance of the United States. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reverberate through history. At the same time, the young American Republic was eager to assert its dominance over the Northwest Territory. William Henry Harrison, the governor of the Indiana Territory, saw an opportunity to quash the growing indigenous resistance and secure his political future. He viewed Tecumseh and Tenskwatawa's movement as a direct threat to American expansion. Harrison's ambitions were clear. He wanted to neutralize the Indigenous Confederation and claim the lands for the United States. The tension between these two powerful forces was palpable, and it was only a matter of time before it erupted into violence. In the autumn of 1811, Governor Harrison gathered a force of around 1,000 men, soldiers, militia, and volunteers, and began his march toward Prophetstown, the spiritual and political center of Tecumseh's confederation. As Harrison's army advanced, the indigenous warriors prepared for a confrontation. Tecumseh was away, attempting to rally support from southern tribes, leaving his brother, the Prophet, to lead the defense. The tension grew with each passing day as the two sides inched closer to the inevitable clash. On the night of November 6, 1811, Harrison's forces camped near Prophetstown, anticipating an attack. The soldiers were on high alert, knowing that they were deep in enemy territory. That night, Prophet, in a bid to inspire his warriors, performed rituals and assured them of victory. He claimed that the bullets of the American soldiers would not harm them, filling his followers with a sense of invincibility. As the night wore on, the tension reached a breaking point, and both sides prepared for the dawn. In the early hours of November 7th, as the first light of dawn began to break, the indigenous warriors launched a surprise attack on Harrison's camp. The battle was fierce and chaotic, with both sides fighting desperately. The sound of musket fire, war cries, and the clash of steel filled the air. Despite the Prophet's assurances, the indigenous warriors found themselves facing a well-armed and determined enemy. Harrison's men, though caught off guard, quickly regrouped and mounted a fierce defense. Battle raged for hours, with neither side willing to give ground. By mid-morning, the battle was over. Harrison's forces had successfully repelled the attack, but at a heavy cost. The indigenous forces, demoralized and disillusioned by the failure of the Prophet's promises, began to scatter. Prophetstown was abandoned and later burned by Harrison's men. The Battle of Tippecanoe was a decisive moment in American history. It weakened the Indigenous Confederation and bolstered Harrison's reputation, eventually paving the way for his ascent to presidency. But the battle also marked the beginning of a broader conflict, the War of 1812, where Tecumseh would rise again, this time as a leader of a much larger struggle. The Battle of Tippecanoe was more than just a military engagement. It was a symbol of the broader struggle between two civilizations. It was a battle fought not just with weapons, but with ideas, hopes, and dreams. Tecumseh's vision of a united indigenous resistance remains a powerful reminder of the fight for autonomy and identity. As we reflect on this pivotal moment in history, let us not forget the lessons it teaches us about resilience, leadership, and the enduring struggle for justice. If you found this story as compelling as we did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the epic battles that shaped our world.